The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV. Join your host, who is a multiple #1 international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer. She's the founder of Genuinely Hyphen You and has 30 years experience of helping people step into their genuine, authentic power. And now, here is Gina Gardner, your host of Leadership for Life.
Hello there, and welcome to the show today. Really pleased to see you. Today's show is all about investments, and I want to start off by talking about investing in you. You are so valuable. If you think about it, and we've talked about it before, you take yourself into every situation from the moment you're born until the moment you die. So it makes absolute sense to invest in yourself, to invest the time and the trouble and the thought to be the best version of you. Now, investing in yourself, the obvious ones are to think about, investing in courses or going and having the opportunity to develop your mind. And that is really important. But investing in yourself is so much broader than that. You are the common denominator that you take into your life every moment of every day. But also there is only one body. And if you don't look after that, then you are going to find yourself in trouble. Investing in yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because you are all of those beings rolled into one, makes absolute sense. When we're little, we don't value education. My dad, who was a very wise man, used to say education is wasted on the young because they don't recognize the value of it until much later. And so often people learn to value the things that they chose not to do or not to concentrate on or not to develop much earlier in their lives. And as a result of that, they regret that they're always trying to catch up throughout their life. There's no time for education to finish. I believe that our whole life, that we are student learners. That's the purpose of life, as far as I can tell, is that you learn as you go along and that you never stop learning. Those people who get stuck in their comfort zone, who get stuck in fear, stop learning. But if you give yourself permission, you have the opportunity to learn throughout your life, from every situation. Now, lots of people fear things going wrong. They fear failure. But I want to ask you, do you learn more when everything's jogging along nicely? Or do you learn when life gets tricky and you make mistakes or you don't succeed? Because in my experience, and also in the experience that I have developed with working with just so many people, that the real learning takes place when things aren't going right. I was on a program a few years ago with Tony Robbins. Now, many of you will be familiar with his stuff, and I've done all of his programs and became a senior leader. And it was a great experience. But one of the principles he talks about is learning to fail better. Now, it's a weird thing to say, isn't it? Learning to fail better. And what on earth does it mean? Well, it doesn't mean that you go out and you deliberately try to fail. That's not what it means at all. But he gave the example of perhaps you're a telephone salesperson and your success is fairly limited. Let's say that you succeed in one telephone call out of 10 to make a sale. So learning to fail better is about really examining what you do and then looking at what makes this call a failure and that call a success. So being really clear about that rather than unconscious to what's going on, you can then do more of those things which appear to make greater success. And the aim to start with is not to have 1 out of 10, but 1 out of 9, and then 1 out of 8, and so on. But the other way that he described it is, well, if you know that 1 in 10 phone calls actually equates to a successful sale, well, 100 telephone calls is going to equate to 10 successes. So sometimes it's a numbers game and sometimes it's a refinement game. Now, I want you to see that as a metaphor for your life, because so many people carry on with the same pattern of behavior which ends up in disaster over and over again. They never seem to learn. So there are lots of examples of this. Relationships are a perfect one. You may be someone who has had a series of relationships which have broken down. You may know people who have, when you've looked at the relationship, people have chosen the same sort of people, they've behaved in the same sort of way, and they've got the same result. If you always do what you've always done, you know that the result is going to be the same as you've already got already. So part of the investing in yourself is being open to learning, looking at the pattern of behavior that you utilize and creating within that an understanding of what's behind the pattern. Is it a belief that you have taken on board from your parents or from teachers or from somebody else that makes you believe that you don't deserve any better, you can't have anything different? Is it that you're just oblivious to the pattern? I've shared with you before, an example of a client who always went for the bad boys. And then as soon as the relationship had gone past its first little bit, she became very needy. And the relationship, time after time, ended up in disaster. But she hadn't recognized the pattern that was going on. I work with people all the time in all sorts of contexts. Remember, this show is called Leadership for Life for a reason, because I work with people in a whole range of different contexts. And one of the things that I do is I look for the patterns. So I was talking to somebody, a client, this is a while ago, who came to me because she was in huge debt. And if you look at what's going on within the world at the moment, world economics, lots of people are struggling and lots of people are losing their jobs, being made redundant, and are struggling financially. When you look at the pattern of behavior for many people, that they will see, I'm feeling fed up, so I'm going to buy something, I'm going to treat myself. And they get into debt. And they haven't worked out that compound interest is hugely expensive. And so they then just pay the minimum on their credit card. And so the debt, instead of reducing, builds up, because all you're ever doing is paying off the interest, and interest on credit cards is extremely expensive. And so they are continuing to buy, and the debt gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So this client arrived and she was in well over £20,000 worth of debt. She was worried and she felt very much that she was a victim to this particular circumstances. But what was she going to do? So when we started talking about, how are you operating? And she was relatively young, she was 30. And it turns out that, her daily routine was to buy a latte on the way to work. She always bought her lunch from the cafe down the road when she was working in London. She liked a drink, and she was drinking 4 or 5 bottles of wine a week. And she would go out on a Friday and she would spend quite a lot of money. She was living well beyond her means. She smoked. And we looked at the cost of each of those things, not just within the day, because then, it's only £3 here, or in your part, £3 is about just under $4. A bottle of wine, I don't know what it costs where you are, but around here you can get a reasonable bottle of wine for about £7.50. £7.50 is probably about $9. But it's the cumulative cost of all of these things. Now, the cost was not only financial, the cost was to her health, smoking, drinking, constantly eating convenience food. And the result of that was not only was she in debt, but actually her health wasn't good. So what we had to do is not just look at the debt, but look at her mindset and start to help her recognize that in order to get out of this muddle, she had to start investing in herself in a very different way. We did a number of things. One of the things we did was to look at the way in which she operated on a day-by-day basis, to make a coffee and take it in one of those thermal mugs to work, to do a packed lunch, to stop drinking so much, to give up smoking. And instead of going out on a Friday night, to arrange with her friends that they actually took it in turns to host what they were doing, and everybody then would provide something towards supper. They had a lot of fun, and it helped her not get into any more debt. But one of the things that she also needed to do was to reduce the debt that she was in. I got her to look at, she had 5 credit cards. I got her to look at each of the credit cards and to look at the one that had cost the most in terms of interest. And any spare money that she'd created from all of these changes in her life was spent on the credit card which cost the most. And she just did the minimum payments on the others. As soon as that was paid off, then she went on to the second most expensive, and so on. Now, very quickly, she could start to see the benefit of all this. Not only was she feeling better, but more positive about herself, but this galvanized her into selling off stuff that she didn't use. She went and got herself a part-time job as a barmaid. And so that 20-odd £1,000 debt, which had been really weighing her down and worrying her, so she drank more and she smoked more and she was stressed, was reduced and reduced in the quickest possible order that she could. And as a result, within 18 months, she was debt-free. Then she could start to think about investing in herself in a very, very different way. Actually creating resources that generate income rather than costing income. The investment in yourself, how you show up in the world, having the capacity to be your best self, I think is such an important investment, and one that will pay dividends time after time. So as we go into the break, one of the things I want you to think about is, are you investing in yourself in any meaningful way? Or have you got caught in the trap of, I'm not feeling very good, so, I'll just buy this, and buying stuff? Because for most people, the stuff gets put in your wardrobe or in your cupboard. You can only wear one pair of shoes at a time. You can only use one handbag. You can only use one outfit. Or you can only use, one car at a time. Or if you've got loads of tools, I know men who very often, and I don't want to be sexist about this, but I have to say, ladies, it tends to be handbags and shoes and clothes. And men, it's very often tools and gadgets. And I know several men who've got caught in the trap of the best, newest gadget. And they're rarely cheap. And very quickly they are superseded by the next best gadget. So I want you to think about this while we go into the break, and think about how might you invest in your life, and how might you help yourself be in a position to invest financially in your future. So I'll see you after the break.
You have been listening to Gina Gardner on Leadership for Life. We'll be back after this quick break. Want to get the best out of life personally and professionally? Are you ready to step into a life which excites and fulfills you? Well, the right place for you is Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. We will share with you stories from inspiring people, a wide range of guest experts, and lots of practical strategies to help you get the very best out of your personal and professional life. Leadership for Life is a radio and TV show focused on helping you live a happier, more successful, and fulfilling life. Join international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer, Gina Gardner, live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Become the leader of your own life. Gina Gardner's #1 international best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success, and Fulfillment, provides you with the foundational principles on which to become the best leader of your own life. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and as an audio from genuinely-u.com, or also from Amazon. Every one of the principles have been proven to work for the countless people who have used them, including the author. Now, let's put them to work for you. If you're ready to discover your true leadership life design, accelerate your journey with an invitation to join Gina for Leadership for Life VIP Day. Choose your journey of self-discovery where Gina will help you navigate your way to happiness, success, and fulfillment. To find out more, email gina@genuinely-u.com. Welcome back to Leadership for Life. Here is your host, Gina Gardner.
Hello there. Thanks for coming back. I am absolutely thrilled about my next guest. We are going to be able to have the opportunity to have the expertise and experience of Mary Buffett. She is an amazing lady, and I want to read you her bio. Just listen to how much expertise you have the opportunity to tap into. For over 20 years, Mary Buffett has been considered the world's leading authority on the subject of Warren Buffett's investment methods. Her intentional best-selling investment books, co-authored with David Clark, Buffettology, the Buffettology Workbook, The New Buffettology, The Tao of Warren Buffett and the Interpretation of Financial Statements, The Management Secrets of Warren Buffett and the Art of Stock Arbitrage, the Warren Buffett Stock Portfolio have been translated into 24 foreign languages and are considered investment classics the world over. Her latest book is 7 Secrets to Investing Like Warren Buffett, co-authored by Sean Sear. Mary Buffett is an international speaker, entrepreneur, political and environmental activist, and has appeared on television as one of the top finance experts worldwide. She's been the principal speaker for prestigious organizations around the world. Mary Buffett has worked in a wide range of businesses, including extensive work as a consultant to several Fortune 500 companies. She's a partner of the top-ranked UK Buffettology Fund in the United Kingdom, and information about the UK Buffettology Fund are on her website, which is www.marybuffett.com. And I am just so thrilled that we have her on the show. So, a big welcome to Mary Buffett. Hi there. I'm so sorry you've had problems getting into the show, but I'm so pleased you're here.
Well, I'm just so happy that my 26-year-old son was here to show me out.
Isn't it always the way?
I still have trouble with the computer, but I'm so pleased. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Gina. I'm so honored to be on your show. It's wonderful, and I couldn't be happier to be here. I'm so pleased.
Well, I've had the privilege of interviewing before on another show, Uncut with Gina and Sukta, so I know just what value you're going to offer. But without more ado, because time is limited,
Right.
Before we get into the investment bit, Can you share people a little bit about your journey and how you've come to be this amazing wealth of experience and expertise?
I really started working when I was very young. When I was 14, 15 years old, I found somehow I was a music singer and songwriter, and other songwriters would say, "Oh, send Mary in to sell the song. She'll get us more money." Dollars, but it didn't matter. I just had a sense for business. And when I met my husband, Peter Buffett, Warren Buffett's son, he was a musician. It was his sister who I was friends with, and she kept saying, "Oh, I was out of the music business. You have to meet my brother. He's a musician." And I thought, that's the last thing I want, a musician. But we met and fell in love and started, of course, he had a small recording studio and he was writing songs, and we started writing songs together, and I made it a business, and there you go. And we were then writing for commercials, and we even did some music for Dances with Wolves, the movie, and he continues to write. I continue to work.
So you've written so many books of huge value to people. What got you started writing the books? And I know that you've done a lot of work in terms of helping new investors, particularly.
Right. You know, once I was divorced from Peter, here I was 40 years old with 13-year-old daughters. And I thought, well, I should really, it would be interesting. I think people would be interested to hear about Warren because nobody really knew about him then. And as I started to write, I realized, gosh, I really need somebody that knows the details of finance. And David Clark was a dear friend of the Buffetts and lives in Omaha, still does. And David, I called David and I said, "David, do you want to help me with this book?" And he said, "Sure," because I really thought that other women my age would want to know how to make money, invest money, and for their future, because we have to.
I think many women are left in a situation, aren't they, where suddenly they have to find a way of supporting themselves, often for supporting children. But even if that's not the case, and it's a couple or it's a man, we live in such uncertain times that being able to protect yourself financially is just so important, isn't it?
I tell all women and men, I say, women, we work 13 years out of our lives without being paid for. We take care of our children, our parents, our husband, whoever.
Yeah.
And because of that, and we get paid less when we do get paid, because of that, it's critical that we start saving a little bit of money, investing the money to work for us, because at some point in your life, you're really going to be grateful that you did that. So I always tell people, men and women, married, even if you're married, you should have your separate account just for your own little money, investing on its own. You never know when you'll need it.
No, and that's been, if you think of what's going on as we record this, many people are in real trouble because they live at or beyond their means the whole time. No nest egg to draw upon when there is a tragedy or a challenge, and then life gets even tougher, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I learned, and we all will learn, hopefully, is live within your means. It's so easy to live outside of your means. I mean, even now, the other day I was alone and I thought, oh, I don't want to cook. Let me order something from a restaurant. And I'm looking and I realized, I thought, gosh, I ordered it, but it was $40 for just one thing for me. And it wasn't really, something fantastic. It was, and I thought, wow, $40, that really, that's a lot of money for me to spend alone, just for
You think of what you could have bought at the supermarket with that.
Or I think of, I could have bought some stock with it.
That's right. You can't eat stock though, and if you're hungry. So what I'd like to do, because I know time is short and I want to give the greatest value to our listeners, is I'm a new investor. What's your advice? How in the next 15 minutes could you give the greatest help to the people who are listening in terms of how they become an investor and the things to look out for and the things to be really wary of?
First thing is you need money. So start saving money, even if it's a little at a time, even if it's $25 a month or $5 a week. Put it away for your investment. So while you're saving your money, and you don't have to have a lot to invest, start looking at things that you're familiar with. Even things that you use around your house, I wish I would have bought WD-40 when I thought of it 2 years ago. I thought WD-40, I was using it and I thought, gee, I wonder if it's even on the market. And sure enough, it was, and it was a little expensive. Of course, it's twice the amount now. I didn't buy it, but those are the ways that you can think of what you might want to invest in. And then,
sorry to just interrupt you. So when you say when you buy WD-40, just to be really clear, we're not talking about going to, the shop and buying, 14 bottles of WD-40. Incidentally, I'll make you laugh. When I first became the host of this, I kept on calling this the WD-40 show rather than the W4CY show. You're talking about investing in the stock, aren't you?
Right. I'm talking about going on into the stock market. You may have to have an account with a brokerage firm, or you can just go online, I believe now, and open an account and transfer some money into it, and you can actually buy shares of a stock. And that's what you're doing. When I say buy it, you're buying a share, depending upon what the shares are. But that's what I was just going to try and find out what the shares are. But anyway, so you buy companies and you realize that you are buying a company. So that's the other thing, is when people talk about investing in whatever, you're buying companies. So you can look up those companies now with the internet. It's so much easier to look at a company. You can look at what they do. You can read what the president and CEO of the company's letters are, what their plans are. You can look at their financial sheets and see, have they made money? Do they have money? Have they lost money? All kinds of things. And that's the reason I've written so many different books, how to read, how to interpret financial statements. Very, very small book, don't worry. And I tried to make it easy so people could really understand what to look at on a financial statement that makes a difference, that matters whether you buy a company or want to buy a company or not. So that's really the first thing, is find out something that that you understand, and then just, kind of look around, to go on the internet and check it out. And that's how you can begin to invest in something.
I think there are many people who maybe believe, I can't invest unless I've got huge amounts of money. So what would you say is, you're talking about saving a little bit each month. At what point do you move from saving it either, in your bank account or wherever, and then going in to buy some stock?
I mean, I'm trying to find it on my phone now. I have on my phone, and anyone can put it. You can look under stocks, and you have the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq. But then I have specific stocks that I like Apple. I can look at it, and it's wonderful. The phone, the app, because you can just see what it is. If you tap on it, it gives you a whole look at the company. You can look at it for a month, for a year. Of course, I look at it much longer than a year. But any kind of stock that you like, and like Bank of America is $30.67 a share. So that's certainly affordable. It might be a little expensive now, but General Electric, not necessarily a company I've bought, but it's $11. So there you can see that there are companies, Berkshire Hathaway B, Warren's company is $233 a share. The B shares, the A shares are $300,000 a share.
Just a little beyond the average new investor, I think.
Just
a little. Yeah.
But Berkshire A is $350,000 a share. And 60 years ago, it was $19 a share. So, I mean, there you go. That's the long term. That's the value investing.
Can you tell me the difference between an A share and a B share?
B shares, you can't vote on anything, and it's, oh God, I should know automatically, but it's a percentage of what the A shares are.
Oh, okay.
Right. So are 350 and the B shares are $233. It's a giant difference. So you're buying, most people are buying B shares.
Yes.
And and if you look at that over a year, back in May, for instance, they were $175, and now they're $233. So you always want to buy. I always want to buy. Value investors, we want to buy when a stock is under what it's worth or close to what it's worth. Ideally, you're buying.
How would you tell that?
Well, that's a little more that would take a little more time, but you can, if you go online and you look up a company and you look at the balance sheet, and you can figure out what the value of a share is of the company. And then you can say, well, this is the real value of the share. What is it trading at? Because depending upon what what people are buying and wanting to buy, it's either trading higher or possibly lower, depending on what happens. So then you go in, you find out what it's trading at, and you buy a share of the company, or as much as you want. Right.
Your latest book, I'd like you to share that with people. The 7 Secrets of Investing Like Warren Buffett. So talk to us about that book. It sounds really interesting.
Sean, all my other books, the 8 other books that I wrote, were with David Clark, who's brilliant and an investor, and in Omaha, as I said. And then I was doing a lot of work in Asia because they're so interested in investing, because they make money and they don't know what to do with it except invest. And so I was all over Asia, Thailand, China, Singapore, Malaysia, and I really couldn't keep up with all of the places. And Sean Shia, he was a student of mine, started out as a student, and then he developed a company and was promoting value investing and teaching it. And I said, Sean, why don't you and I write a book that's super simple. My other books are simple, some of them, but let's just write it for the basic investor so they understand how to invest for like a value investor. And he said, sure. And it was really great because I had never written with him, and he's Asian, so he had a totally another take on it. And it's a very easy book to read, and it's cheap, reasonably inexpensive. You can get it on my website. You can get it online. And yeah, it's an easy book to read. I highly suggest it.
Yeah, I've had a look at it and found that it was very simple and very carefully laid out. We're putting the address, if you look on the banner, the website address is on the banner now, and it'll also be in the show notes if you're listening to the recording. And I would really urge you, go and get the book. That's the address to get it off Mary's website. It's also really interesting to go to the website and find out more about Mary's story and what she's up to, and a huge amount of information there for people.
I do write newsletters, and they're not always on investing. Some of them are on politics. One was on Trump.
Okay. Interesting times we live in, aren't they? Interesting times.
Yeah.
You know, one of the questions I often ask guests is, what's given you your greatest life lesson?
Not believing in myself. I mean, what did I just talk about? What company did I just talk about? Not Berkshire. Wells Fargo, or no, WD-40. Perfect example. I thought about it because I used it at the house. I looked it up. Great company, had everything that I would, but it was a little expensive. You know, it was a couple of $100. And I thought, oh, I think I'll wait. I'll wait till the market comes down. I'll wait. But it just never would. It didn't come down. And this morning it popped up on my phone, and it's of course double what I would have bought it at. And those are the kinds of things, you know, I should have listened to myself. I looked it up. It was perfectly right for me. And yet even I still, you know, wanted a better deal, or when I should have just bought even just a couple of shares. And then if they would have been doing well, if it went close to that number, I would have bought more.
Isn't it interesting that, because people from the outside would think, you know, with all of your experience and your obvious capability, that not having confidence in yourself would be the last thing that people would expect. And yet, I think, you know, for people listening in, that's really helpful that you shared that, because we all go through periods when we don't believe in ourselves and we fail to listen to that inner voice which says, do this or don't do that.
Right. I mean, that happens so many times. I've looked back again and again at things that I think, why didn't I buy more of that? Or I knew I was right, you know, and I did the work. It wasn't just a feeling.
No. And I think that's important, that you do due diligence, but
Yes.
then sometimes you still ignore, don't you?
Yeah. So don't buy on someone else's word. Don't forget that people who work at, you know, Schwab or companies that sell stocks, the only way they make money is if they buy or sell stock. So that's what they want you doing. What we want you to do as a value investor is get a great company, buy it, hold it, and continue to buy it if it has good prices.
Thank you. That's been really helpful. And I would urge you to go and buy the book, The 7 Secrets of Investing Like Warren Buffett. And there are so many other books to choose from. It's been a real joy to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been my pleasure, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you. Now, I know that you were talking about people being able to get in touch with you. So
Yeah.
that's marybuffett.com through the website. And I would really urge all of you, we started this show by talking about investing in yourself, that you are so important. But a big part of that is how do you look after your resources. Money is one of the finite resources, the other is time and energy. And it makes such sense to look after your money and not to think about wasting it on stuff that actually does nothing to support you or help you grow. So you've given people a really great start to think about it. It isn't for rich people, it's for everybody.
Everybody. We all work so hard for the money, just save a little bit of it.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much indeed. It's been a real pleasure. Now, just before you go, those of you that have listened before know that I've joined B1G1, Buy One, Give One, which is an organization that businesses can create an impact. And you don't have to be spending huge amounts of money to make a significant difference. I ask all of my guests now to choose from one of three projects. And the project that Mary has chosen is feeding 200 meals to vulnerable people in the USA using food which would otherwise be thrown away for disadvantaged communities around the United States, delivering food to homeless shelters, food pantries, and soup kitchens. So thank you very much for that choice, and that will be winging its way to B1G1. Just by listening, you are having an impact. So please listen, share out with people you know, because for every 100 people who listen, one person around the world will go to bed with a full tummy rather than being hungry. So thank you very much. And I look forward to the next time our paths cross. Thanks a lot, Mary.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you so much. Be safe.
Thank you, and you. So after the show, come back. We're going to be talking about different ways that you can invest in yourself. I'll see you in a moment.
You have been listening to Gina Gardner on Leadership for Life. We'll be back after this quick break. Want to get the best out of life personally and professionally? Are you ready to step into a life which excites and fulfills you? Well, the right place for you is Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. We will share with you stories from inspiring people, a wide range of guest experts, and lots of practical strategies to help you get the very best out of your personal and professional life. Leadership for Life is a radio and TV show focused on helping you live a happier, more successful, and fulfilling life. Join international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer, Gina Gardner, live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Become the leader of your own life. Gina Gardner's #1 international best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success, and Fulfillment, provides you with the foundational principles on which to become the best leader of your own life. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and as an audio from genuinely-u.com, or also from Amazon. Every one of the principles have been proven to work for the countless people who have used them, including the author. Now, let's put them to work for you. If you're ready to discover your true leadership life design, accelerate your journey with an invitation to join Gina for Leadership for Life VIP Day. Choose your journey of self-discovery where Gina will help you navigate your way to happiness, success, and fulfillment. To find out more, email Gina at genuinely-u.com. Welcome back to Leadership for Life. Here is your host, Gina Gardner.
Hi there. I hope that you will take Mary's advice and start to live within your means, start to save a little bit, and then start to create a way of protecting your finances as you go forward. I'd like to spend the last few minutes of the show talking to you about a number of different ways that you can access support information to help you grow and develop and invest in you. And there are a number of ways that I have created that you can do that. Some of them are paid for, many of them are free. So if you go on to genuinely-u.com, which is my website, you will find that there is a huge range of resources. I was doing an audit and there are something like 150 articles. They're free. There are blogs and genuine chats. They're free. The genuine chats that I and Rachel Davidson, who was actually a guest on my show before Christmas, we just explore themes in a very gentle and conversational way. And there are something like 70 of those on the website. There's also a free 7-day happiness challenge. You know, everybody wants to be happy, but we make it really difficult. And so I've created a 7-day challenge. It's free. You can sign up for it, and it will give you the principles and strategies to help you live a happy life, even when life is tricky. There's also my free TV show. It's a series of 14 episodes looking at a whole range of different subjects. Self-sabotage, for example, forgiveness, gratitude. You can sign up for those and you can get them absolutely free. If you go on to Genuinely You with Gina Gardner YouTube, you'll find Uncut with Gina and Sukhdev. Now, if you want to see what coaching is like, then there are 10 programs in the series where people I've never met before come onto the program and are brave enough to be coached for an hour by myself and Sukhdev. And every one of them got breakthroughs. And you can go and you can watch those programs for free, because many of the issues that face them are facing many people. And by listening, you will you'll get a feel for, you know, the strategies that may very well help you. There's lots of materials there. You can become a free member of the Genuinely You membership club. But there are also programs that you can pay for. So, for example, the personal empowerment plan, very cheap. But every Sunday evening, you'll get a video, and the video is a strategy and a principle or a way of dealing with stress and anxiety. Now, they work. I've used them myself. I've used them with hundreds and hundreds of other people. So I know that if you employ them, they work. But not everybody finds the same things helpful, which is why there are 26 of them. Every Sunday, a pep talk arrives in your inbox. There are programs to help you have better relationships with yourself and other people, the Relationship Bridge. You can, the program, Thriving Not Surviving program, is a personal and spiritual development program, a series of videos and activities. If you're interested in leadership, then there's the Enlightened Leadership program. And very soon, I'll be launching on Gina Gardner Associates, a brand new training hub with a whole range of different trainings that are there. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, then go to ginagardner.com and you'll see a whole range of different ways that you can work with me. Whatever you decide to do, the important thing is that you take charge of your life, that you become the leader of your own life. Ultimately, how confident you are about yourself, how you value yourself, the relationship that you have with you makes all the difference. And my life's work is about helping people step into their genuine power to become the leaders of their own life. Because in doing that, then you become capable of leading other people in an enlightened and profitable way, leading with integrity, with compassion, and with the courage to do what's right. I've got lots of books. Some of them are conventional books, others are intentional journals. So if you go onto my website, either Genuinely-You or GinaGardnerAssociates.com, or go onto Amazon, you'll find all of the books there. What I would say to you is do something. Take charge of your life. Don't be a victim to your life. Actually become the leader, truly the leader in your own life. Because ultimately, the only person who's going to make a difference in your life is you. So I want to thank you very much for joining me today. Next week, my guest is Ben Baker. It's very much about business and how you can stand out in business, but in a particular way, a very positive and constructive way. So please join me. Get other people listening to the downloads of these and help B1G1. Thanks so much for joining me. Remember, be the leader of your own life. Bye now.
You have been listening to The Leadership for Life with your host, Gina Gardner. Make sure you tune in to W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV next Thursday and every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for more Leadership for Life. If you missed any part of this episode or just want to hear or see it again, you can find the archive of the TV show on Talk 4 TV's YouTube channel and the podcast of The Leadership for Life on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast.